Hey, everyone.
Hello, hi everybody.
Hello.
Well,
Mary, I don't mean to be insulting, but part of that video, you look like a monkey.
Well, that's the point.
yep, that's the point. Monkey wench.
Yes. Good. All right. Yeah, that's a great,
See, I
great
just look,
insight.
I look like a Sasquatch all the time. So
That
Well,
was
guys,
a great intro. I like the pirate ships and the missiles and all that. That's good.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, pretty cool.
Mary's very talented. She makes all that stuff.
oh, you did that?
Yeah,
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, that is good. Yeah.
I pieced it all together, but I think it's a little bit too long, so I may have to shorten it.
Oh, it's
I
all
like the
good.
music. No, I thought it was, well, I
Yeah.
thought it was good. You know,
It's about the same as most other people's podcasts. I think.
yeah. Well, very good. Okay. So,
Well, we have a really good show, everybody, tonight. So if you're out there and you haven't, go grab some friends and bring them in here before we get going too much, and tell them they're going to miss a great show if they don't get in here, just like always, but this week especially. And we'll tell you later, but we've got some really good shows coming up in the future too. So you want to stick with us.
yeah. And as for tonight's live broadcast, I just want to thank all my friends out there that, said that they're going to be listening and telling their friends. And this is exciting. This is like an event. I mean, I do a lot of podcasts, but this is kind of special. So,
Yeah.
I don't know. So, yeah, thanks.
Oh, welcome. Well, everyone, I want you to welcome Maxim Furek. He's our guest. He's a author and paranormal experiencer, investigator, but he's here to tell everyone all about what he does, what he's been into, and whatever's going on. Go ahead, Max.
Yeah. Well, thanks, Mary. Thanks, Mark. I appreciate this. I only met Mary a short time ago, and we connected, and she invited me onto the program, and it just seemed to get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, I've heard your name before. So it's interesting because you folks are from Western Pennsylvania, which is just so awesome as far as the groups and the organizations and the festivals. We just came back from the Forest County Bigfoot Festival. I was a guest speaker at the Marionville area library next to Frank the Snake Guy. So that's where they put me. So anyway, but anyway, that was pretty cool. There was a lot of people there, and I got a chance to hang out with Mike Familion. I saw him there, and a bunch of other people. But yeah, this is great. But for the listeners who may be not from this area, Western Pennsylvania is the bomb. I mean, there's something in the water. There's something strange there. It's not just Chestnut Ridge, that four-county area from Pittsburgh down to West Virginia, but it's Greene County, and it's a whole lot of other counties. I mean, there's just a whole lot of wilderness there. I do want to say one thing. This isn't about Bigfoot, but it's about the paranormal. I had written an article about the Wisner State Forest in our section by Columbia Montour County. And a couple of years ago, there were two law enforcement guys that took bath salts. That's the hallucinogen. This is the drug that promises ecstasy and rapture and everything. And what it does is these drugs pretty much make you psychotic. So anyway, these guys, in the dead of winter, these were cops. They injected themselves with the bath salts. So they went out into the woods feeling really good, started to burn up. I mean, from the heat, your hypothalamus gets a little bit whacked out, so you can't regulate the heat. They were found dead of hypothermia with their clothes off.
Oh, my.
Hold that thought, please. Same thing happened in Western Pennsylvania. It was either at Allegheny State Park or it was at Cook County, Cook Forest. Same guy, a law enforcement guy, shot himself up with the bath salts, went out there. Again, he was burning up. They found him naked, hypothermia. Two separate things. This is like the 400 David Pallades, I mean, this is pretty weird how, just the commonality between those two tragic homicides. But anyway, that's just something that I happened upon, as a former drug and alcohol professional. And, so I just think that's a little bit on the strange side and beyond coincidence. I mean, I don't know. I think it's more than just a coincidence, but then that's me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's for sure. Oh my. It's addiction is such a horrible thing, and it's affected, I think, just about every single family.
Right. Yeah.
In some way, shape.
I think it's like a card game where we're all handed 1, 2, or 3 cards. It's either addiction, mental illness, or cancer.
Yeah.
Take your pick. Some people get all 3, but it's just part of being human, just see what's around the corner. So it's best to keep a happy attitude, a positive attitude, to be kind, and to have special friends in your circle, friends that support you and appreciate you and respect you. And, if you have one of those, just one, then you're a fortunate person.
Well, speaking of that, Mary, do we want to go ahead and do prayer requests now, or?
Yes, please. Everyone, if you are a longtime watcher, subscriber here, you know that, if you have a special prayer request, if anything's going on, you don't have to go into detail. Just type in the comments, prayer request. And, both Mark and I will put you in our list, and we'll keep you in our prayers. And, anyone else, if you're not a subscriber, if you are unable to comment, you can contact me through the channel itself. My email addresses should be in the description, or else you can contact me through Facebook.
Yep. You can contact me too, cryptidsearch@myyahoo.com.
Okay.
And we had quite a list last week of prayer requests, and so been praying for those, and we'll keep praying for them. But if anybody wants to add some, feel free. Or if any of those have been answered, let us know.
Yeah,
we appreciate that. So didn't want to interrupt there, Maxim, but we do this pretty much every week. We do it every week. Take prayer requests, and you mentioned having a special friend, and Mary and I both have one. His name was Jesus, and he died for us 2,000 years ago. So we always want to make that known during the program. And otherwise, we pretty much talk about whatever. But
I have a special friend named Joseph. And when my wife and I sold our house in Florida, we took a statue of Joseph and put him in the ground upside down facing the house. We sold the house in 3 days.
Oh, wow.
Now we're here in Luzerne County in Mackinac, and we just put the sign. We're selling our house here. It goes live tomorrow, but we have St. Joseph there, and we're saying a prayer, and we'll see what happens. But
okay,
so
we'll do.
Yeah, pray that we sell our house.
Yes,
all right, we'll put that in our prayer request.
And this is interesting. I'm glad that you're doing that. I mean, I think that there's probably a lot of people there that are listening to you that may be hurting, that may be, down and depressed and dealing with things. And it's good to have that positive focus and that element of hope. So thanks for doing that. This is unique. I've done tons of podcasts. This is the first time I've had something like for prayer requests. So thank you.
Really? Oh. Yeah, we have a lot of prayer warriors in our audience also, and so we hold each other up.
Yeah.
Okay, Max. Go ahead and tell us about what's going on and what you would like to talk about this evening.
Yeah, sure. Well, as you know, I've written a book called The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, and I take a look at the different theories, trying to explain what Bigfoot is. And there's theories like the missing link, Gigantopithecus, Neanderthal, just the Australopithecus, a whole bunch of things. And so I just called my book The Lost Tribes, trying to find what Bigfoot was. So I talk about the Patterson-Gimlin, there it is, the Patterson-Gimlin film. I talk about some of the hoaxers, like the Piltdown Man and the Siberian Bigfoot. I talk about some of that. I talk about the 4 horsemen of Sasquatchery. I talk about the only guy, Albert Ostman, to be abducted by a Bigfoot, as far as we know, which is unique to the Bigfoot community, but not to the UFO community. So with Albert Ostman, this thing happened in 1924, and he claimed that he was at his campsite. He was a Swedish Canadian trapper, and somebody was mucking up his campsite. They were stealing things and everything. So Albert Ostman was going to play a trick on him. He hid in his sleeping bag with the shotgun, and he was going to wait until he heard the noise, and he was going to jump out and shoot the bad guy. And what happened was somebody picked him up and took him for what seemed to be miles and miles. And they left him there in this valley. And here it was a Sasquatch family. Now, this is unique. This is 1924, but it was a mother, father, son, and daughter. And they were curious. They were but do you ask Bigfoot? Yes, that is a serious question. He at some point they were the young Sasquatch was feeding Ostman sweetgrass, and everything was pretty good, pretty copacetic. But he got the idea that they were going to try to have sex with him, that they were going to try to procreate. So he thought it was time for Plan B. So what he did was he had in his sleeping bag chewing tobacco. He gave it to the father Sasquatch, who got sick, and at the right time, Albert Ostman took off, and he went back to his home in British Columbia, and didn't say too much about this. I mean, he wasn't looking for publicity or anything, but there started to be a lot of newspaper accounts of seeing these hairy creatures, and so Ostman thought that it would be time to tell his story. He contacted John Green, a journalist from British Columbia, John Green being one of the original four horsemen of Sasquatchery. And he told John Green a story, and John Green thought that he was telling the truth. Now, a couple of things. Ostman talked about a family of Sasquatch. Typically, when we get reports, we talk about solitary Bigfoot.
Yeah.
So that was sort of different. When people have encounters with Bigfoot, usually they have the stench, that rotten eggs, wet dog, fecal matter smell. And with Albert Ostman, he didn't report that. But he did talk about what they did, how they operated. And this was in 1924, before we had computers and microfiche. And, let's face it, today, anybody could jump on Google and figure something out and come on a podcast and, sort of be educated as to what that topic is. Albert Ostman, as well as the four Satchmen of Sasquatchery, did not have that privilege. They didn't have that opportunity. And so John Green and a lot of other people believe that Albert Ostman's 1924 narrative was correct. So flash forward to 1962, Betty and Barney Hill going through the White Hills of New Hampshire, and the White Mountains, and they claim that they lost time, and so they went to the psychiatrist in Boston who did the regressive hypnosis and believed that they had been abducted by a flying saucer and taken aboard and probed. And so this was the story. So this was 1962. Betty and Barney Hill, that kicked it off. Then all of a sudden you had people like Whitney Strieber, John Mack from Harvard, and tons of other people that started to write about this, started to study it, and people coming forward saying, yes, I've been abducted too. I could relate. So what happened in 1924 with Bigfoot was one and done. It was, as far as I know, it was the only time that ever happened. But with ufology, I mean, being abducted became the latest thing after people see things and experience things. So, there's something to this. And even with John Mack, I mean, he paid his dues. He was from Harvard, and all those academics just looked down on him with condescension because this was not in the scientific realm. And again, with the scientific realm, just like with Bigfoot, you need to replicate this. You need to have evidence that everybody sees the same thing and signs off on it. And unfortunately, the paranormal isn't that easy. I know John Fike from Indiana. I was on his show, Monsters, Myths, and Mullets, I believe. And if John's listening, I apologize. But John was saying that just because you see something doesn't mean another person's going to see the same thing. It could be that one person's experience is that in totality. That's what it is. One person at the right place, right time, the right frequency, the right dimension, seeing something. Just because you've seen Bigfoot doesn't mean at a certain location doesn't mean I'm going to be able to see the same thing. So again, opportunities are presented within the paranormal. Some of us have psychic abilities. We have gifts. Some of us are better with the intentions and the patience and the respect, and things happen to us and for us. You know, a lot of us believe that if you see a Sasquatch, it's a gift. It's a wonderful thing. It's a blessing. The coastal peoples always believed that Sasquatch was the protector of the environment, and to see a Sasquatch was an honorable, blessed thing. And you know, so again, Sasquatch does not come across as a threatening creature, but maybe as a helpful spiritual creature, and that's my view of of Sasquatch.
Yeah, one of our moderators would share that sentiment. I believe he thinks that they're a protector and a that
Yes.
they're a positive. There are stories out there of bad ones, but we've talked before about how there's good and bad in every.
Right. The only, it's interesting because when you talk about people that see Bigfoot, it's typically a boring experience. Now, I don't mean the people that get the PTSD and that. And I'm not talking about it being attacked by Bigfoot. That I do want to address. I'm just saying that when you see a Bigfoot, it's typically a very predictable, boring encounter. You see this creature, they see you, they're curious, they look at you, like in the Patterson-Gimlin film, and then they walk away.
Yes.
They're reluctant, they're curious, but they walk away. My neighbor Joe, it's in my book, The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot. He was driving through the cemetery. He saw not one, but two Bigfoot creatures. One was cinnamon, one was black. And I asked him to explain to me what he saw several times before I contacted Stan Gordon, who contacted Joe and then wrote this up. Stan's the keeper of the key. He documents everything. So this was one. But Joe, my neighbor, said that he saw these creatures. They looked at him like they were curious, not that they were afraid, and then they walked away like humans, just a very gentle, thing. Most people that see Bigfoot talk about they don't walk, they glide. They talk about they don't reflect the light, but they emit light. That they have bilocation, that you see them at one place and then there's someplace else, or rapid transport. So a lot of the reports are similar, but a lot of the reports are, predictable or boring. Only two exceptions. One was the Battle of Ape Canyon, where you had Sasquatches that were attacking these campers, these loggers. The other one was President Theodore Roosevelt, who wrote a book, and he talked about a hairy creature, not a bear, a hairy creature, a cryptid-like creature that killed a hunter in the state of Montana. So this was by President Theodore Roosevelt. And as far as I know, these are the only two big attack, exampple of violent Bigfoot attacks. So I mean, probably more.
There's been more, yeah.
Okay.
Hanobia in Oklahoma.
Oh, the Bigfoot were attacking the tribe there, and they ended up chasing them down and killing some of them, but some of the what was that tribe? I'm trying to think of the name of it, but they chased them down, and some of them got killed. Also, the Bigfoot ripped one of their heads off, and that guy, there's a memorial or a monument or something to him down there.
Wow. Yeah, I used to go to school in Oklahoma. I went to school in Shawnee, Oklahoma,
Yeah.
Potawatomi County.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Potawatomi County, yeah.
Gary would know if he's listening.
Yeah, Gary's from Sulphur area
Okay.
in Oklahoma. One of our.
You were talking about the odor, and I have my 2 cents worth on that. I've been pretty close to him on more than one occasion, and I've never smelled the odor. And I believe, now this is me, I think that they are like a skunk. I think they can control it. I think that when they want to be stinky, they can be stinky. And if they don't want to be stinky, then they aren't. Okay, Choctaw. Yeah. Okay, thanks, Gary. The Choctaw Indian were the ones that fought with them. And like I said, I can't remember it was like one of the chiefs or something. And I remember reading that story, and it said that these leaders of this tribe were like really big guys. They were you think of Native Americans often as being fairly small, but what I read, these guys were in excess of 6 feet tall, maybe like 6'6", and one of them, I don't remember the details, but he went riding in, and he'd already killed a couple of the Bigfoot, and he went riding in, and one of them basically just reached out and put its hand like on top of his head like that and just ripped his head right off.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's just a little side.
Yeah.
Side note. And you knew that Daniel Boone shot one, right? I bring this up all the time.
No, but tell me about it. No, I did not.
Oh, no. I can't remember the whole story, but Daniel Boone reported that he encountered one. I don't remember that it was being aggressive toward him. Maybe it was, but back, I suppose, in the 1700s, if they didn't know what it was, they were going to kill it. And so he shot this thing and apparently killed it with one shot from a muzzleloader, which is very interesting to me because, we all have heard that they're so difficult to kill, but he went through the rest of his life telling this story about how he killed one, and he called it a Yahoo. That was the name that he gave it. Where he came up with that, I don't know if he heard it yell and it sounded like it went Yahoo or what, but that's what he named it.
That's possible, yeah. Different calls they make.
Well, we've heard so many stories about Bigfoot creatures being impervious to bullets.
Well, and we had a guest, I don't remember, they all kind of start, I forget who's who after a while, but one of them recently had made the comment that they thought that Bigfoot had become, was it like tougher or more? Oh, it was about the electrical energy. And that after the electricity was invented, it was your buddy there by you, Mary, the electrical engineer.
Oh, Nick. Yeah.
Yeah. And he said that he thinks that after electricity was invented, he believes that Bigfoot have the ability to absorb electrical energy, and that prior to electrification, they had to just get whatever they could get from nature. But after humans invented or brought in electricity, now they can absorb electricity from our power grids, and that they've gotten a lot tougher. And that's potentially why they're not only seem to be more and more intelligent, but they're more and more difficult to kill. But yeah, we had a little chat about that, and I brought up the Daniel Boone thing with him as well, and he said, yeah, he thought that was very possible. So
yeah,
interesting.
Oh, and Brother Littlefoot says that they have not two hearts, but two stomachs. I don't know if he means they have two hearts and two stomachs, or just two stomachs. Anyway, that's interesting.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, I did want to talk a little bit about the new motion picture, the new documentary that's come out, the Capturing Bigfoot. And that made its premiere at the South by Southwest Film Festival in Austin. And it was put together by a film documentary film producer named Mark Evans. So Mark claims that he was able to discover a canister of film, and he had that, and a friend gave it to him, and Mark had it developed. And here, he claimed that it showed a 40-second reel, a 16 millimeter film of a skinny Bigfoot going through Bluff Creek. And Evans claims that this was a dress rehearsal for the actual 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film. So it was at the South by Southwest conference. He said that this film that he discovered was a trial run for their incredible hoax. And he invited a number of people there. There were a number of newspapers, like from People magazine, just a handful of selected people that have seen this documentary. So right now, it seems like the Bigfoot community, or the ones that I'm talking to, are sort of up in arms about this, because many of us believe that the 1967 Patterson-Gimlin film is the Holy Grail, that it's sacrosanct, it's holy, it's irrefutable, that it's the real deal.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I believe that Evans is wrong. I believe that the 67 film is not a hoax, but I believe that Mark Evans' film is a hoax. And I just think he's trying to piggyback on the notoriety of Patterson-Gimlin. There's reasons to believe that, that the Patterson-Gimlin film is accurate. But I did want to say a couple of things about how Mark Evans actually received, this film. So it was given to him by Teresa Brooks. She is an associate professor there at the Olympic College, and that's where Mark Evans teaches documentary filmmaking. So this canister of film was given to Teresa Brooks by her father. Her father's name was Norm Johnson. He spent years at Seattle's Boeing company, and he was working in the film department. She believes that her father was the one who actually developed the Patterson-Gimlin film. So she gave this film to Mark Evans, who she said that this film had been locked away in a strongbox for decades, that her mother told the father not to do anything with it because she thought that it was a hoax film. He could get in trouble with it. But she wanted to go and see what was there, so she gave it to Mark Evans, who had it developed. He believed that it was taken in 1966, a year before the actual Patterson-Gimlin film. It showed a skinny Bigfoot, and he believed that they were doing a dress rehearsal. So the other thing, having that film, that's his one bit of evidence. The other thing, though, is that he interviewed Clint Patterson, and that was Roger Patterson's son. Now, Clint claimed that it was all a hoax, and he told Mark Evans that he watched his father take the Bigfoot costume and bit by bit throw it into the pit and burn it. So you have a new film and you have this confession, and basically that's all we have from Mark Evans. Now, I'm going ballistic. I mean, I've sent out just the last couple of days a ton of press releases to every single newspaper that I have contacts with, claiming that Mark Evans' documentary is a hoax. And I will debate him on any stage, on any forum, on any podcast, and go with him toe-to-toe, point-to-point. So, again, that's what I'm doing. I don't see any other Bigfoot researchers doing that. But Evans needs to apply the same scrutiny to his film as he's doing to the original. And again, with the scientific method, you need proof that is, you could repeat that proof, that two scientists can see the same thing, that you come up with a hypothesis that doesn't waver. And Mark Evans hasn't been able to do that. I think what he has done, he's demonstrate a retreat from the scientific method. He's just throwing out there another 16 millimeter film. And so take your pick. We have two films. We have Mark Evans and we have Patterson-Gimlin's. I'm sticking to Patterson-Gimlin's, and there's reasons for that. One of which is that Patterson Gimlin film is 59 seconds. It's seamless. They have stopped it. They've sped it up. They have analyzed it. They have digitized it. They've done everything they can with CGI and all the advanced technology that we have now since 1967. And they've looked at that film, and it is just the one thing this is a gospel truth from the first slide to the last one. It's seamless. It's uninterrupted. It hasn't been distorted or played with or hoax. So we know that at least that film is intact and genuine. So it goes from there. We don't know a whole lot about Mark Evans' film, but it's just another 16 millimeter black and white film. His film proves nothing. There's no smoking gun. There's no scientific evidence of anything. So again, I think that this is a bigger hoax, and it's almost disrespectful to the cryptid community and to this paranormal community to go and offer this with so little substance, so little value, so little evidence. And this is not going to go far. If this was anything, if it was resonating any place, you would have colleges requesting that film to be analyzed and looked at and to be either validated or debunked.
Right.
Nobody's doing that. It's not really, some of us are getting crazy. I know I did. And, but this Patterson Gimlin thing is sort of tribal. And some of us believe that it is the Holy Grail. This is proof. This is proof that Bigfoot exists. This is all we have. It's equivalent to the 2000. We talked about Albert Osman, 1924, and the Betty and Barney Hill abductions. That similarity with the Patterson Gimlin film of 1967. There's a commonality with the Nimitz TikTok videos from 2004, both of which are the best videos that we have either for Bigfoot or for UAPs. And again, taken by Navy pilots. Amazing, something that zigzags, that's faster than anything we have, faster than and more maneuverable than anything that, say, Russia or China or Iran has. And, we don't know what it is. We think that 3% of what we're seeing certainly is anonymous. We just don't know if it's, what it is. Same thing, I think, with Bigfoot. We see things, but a lot of this is just like beyond our level of understanding. And but I'm wondering if you're familiar with Mark Evans' documentary, and if you had any thoughts on that yourself.
Well, my thought is it needs to be analyzed as much as the original Patterson Gimlin film, frame by frame, the biometrics, the walk itself needs to be analyzed, the physiology, every single pinpoint about it needs to be analyzed. I don't think it'll pass. I don't think it'll pass inspection.
Yeah. I go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was just going to say, I think it's already not passed inspection among the people that have seen it. I know some of them seem to think it was legitimate, but a lot of them did not. And it has not moved forward. He hasn't been able to get financial backing to do anything with it. I don't think it's going to go anywhere. And one of the biggest things that I see missing that nobody seems to point out, and I think Thinker Thunker is the first one that came up with this, is that the arm length on the original Patty is all wrong. And you can't fake that. You can't make your arm bend in a place where it's not supposed to bend. You can add arm extensions on your lower arm, but it doesn't change the distance between your shoulder and your elbow. And in the original Patterson Gimlin film, the elbow is midway between the shoulder and the wrist. So, those people that are skeptics that try to say, well, they just added arm extensions, it doesn't it doesn't work because you can't just add arm extensions.
No.
And, there's other things about it that can't be fake. They're just simply things that's why everybody that's looked at it that I'm aware of has either said that they believe it's real or they can't prove that it's not real.
Right.
Because there's too many things about the original that are impossible to fake, basically, such as those arm length proportions.
Yeah.
People say, well, there's a zipper up the middle of the back, and
I'm not saying that.
No, I know you're not. I'm talking about the skeptics.
Yeah,
but there was just I'm blanking on his name, and I know him, the guy that has done so much work on that film. He did a show. What's that?
Thinker Thunker or M.K. Davis.
M.K. Davis.
Okay.
So he addressed this issue of a zipper, and what he pointed out was if you take a human that's hairy, and he actually showed some guys with a really hairy back, and he said if you look at them from a distance, the way that hair comes together is exactly the way it comes together on Patty.
Right along the spine.
Zipper, it's actually just a natural hair pattern.
Huh.
And he showed a lot of other things too, but there's just too much evidence that it's not fake for me to believe that it is. And I think this Evans guy is after the money. I think he intimidated Mrs. Patterson and I think he intimidated Jeff Meldrum by telling them that he already had proof that it was fake. So he led them into this comment that they made about, well, maybe it was a trial run. I know he claims Jeff Meldrum said that. And the only way I think that Mr. Meldrum would have said that would be if he had already been fed some information that we weren't aware of to make him believe that that guy had more evidence than he actually had. And of course, I think that Clint Patterson, from everything that I've read, was strictly after money because, one thing people don't know, they talk about all the money in that film, that you can Google this and it'll come up in AI. That film was never copyrighted. There was never a copyright on that film. So if anybody was paying to use that film, it was just out of the goodness of their heart because they didn't have to, because there was no rights to that film legally.
Now, it was my understanding that Patricia Patterson had the rights to the film and that Renee DeHinden had the rights to the stills, the photographic stills.
Well, I don't know what the rights in this reference are, but I can tell you that according to what I looked up, the film was never copyrighted. Okay.
So then tell me this, when Mark Evans made his documentary capturing Bigfoot, and he used the actual Patterson Gimlin film in there, I'm wondering if he had to pay Patricia Patterson anything for that.
I don't think he did.
Okay. Well, then that's pretty crummy. You've mentioned, Mark, the financial incentive, and I think we really need to concentrate on the legend of Boggy Creek back in 1972. Charles Pierce put this together on a shoestring budget, and it became a really big commodity thing in the theaters in Arkansas and Louisiana. He got national distribution after having this run, and the film made up to an estimated earnings of $28 million. So the legend of Boggy Creek was the one that got everybody excited, realizing that there's an equation between, an interesting documentary about a cryptid and making money. So after that, we had things like Bigfoot and the Shriek of the Mutilated and just so many other motion pictures based on Sasquatch, but nothing was as good as the legend of Boggy Creek, inspired by true events in Folk, Arkansas, and all that. So, but I think that, when you say that he was chasing the money, he was chasing the legend of Boggy Creek because that gave us a template. That gave us, it showed us the way, to get there. So, I think that there was that financial incentive. I think, last year we lost Dr. Meldrum. and he was the foremost Bigfoot authority. He taught primatology and human anatomy at the Idaho State University, and he was recognized for his research. I mean, he knew about locomotion and about stride and all that. He had a book called Sasquatch Legend Meets Science, and he tried to explain Sasquatch in scientific terms rather than in terms of folklore. He was our ambassador. He was the one that I remember I saw him, had a chance to hang out with him and chat with him at the Ocala Bigfoot Expo a couple years ago. Wonderful guy. He always said that he was the last person to be invited to the high table, the scientific high table. And he was sort of like John Mack. A lot of the academics sort of have a look of condescension on these people that get into cryptozoology or to the paranormal. So I think Jeff was one of those, but he brought validity to the table. That's what he did. He had the background information, so he could talk about these things. He could talk about for example, the anatomical proportions of the Patterson-Gimlin film. He talked about the torso. He said the torso is too long to be human. It has to be something else. He said that maybe 1 in 5,000 people would have a torso like that. Maybe somebody, a Samoan, I don't know, but a Bigfoot, most of course. And then Meldrum talked about the gait dynamics, like legs twisting and the hip rotation definitely indicate a non-human. So there's things like that in the film. And again, it's been scrutinized as much as the Kennedy Zapruder film. We've looked at that so many times, sped it up, slowed it down, digitized it, looked at it. Again, it's seamless. You judge that film on itself. You don't bring in any personality things like, Roger Patterson gets a bad name for being a con artist, a person that owed people money, all this other stuff. I mean, but nonetheless, you separate the man from the product. What he did. What he did was I think, legendary. I think it's still valid, and there's going to be guys like me that stand up and speak for that, for the authenticity of the Patterson-Gimlin film. Meldrum said that a couple of things. He focused on the creature's shin rise. He said that's important because you look at an overall gait and the footprints rather than individual aspects of the film. So Meldrum was able to go and take a look at specific things. He said that the film's muscularity, proportions, and the motion are atypical of human beings. Yeah. This is Jeff Meldrum, who made a lifetime study of, the ambulation, the locomotion of primates. So as far as the Patterson-Gimlin film, people like Jeff Meldrum believe it's accurate. Bill Munns, who was the Hollywood makeup artist. Grover Krantz, one of the original Four Horsemen of Sasquatchery, and one of the first people that start using the coastal people's word of Sasquatch rather than Bigfoot. And then, of course, the one that really signs off on this is Maxim W. Furek. He believes that it's accurate and authentic, and but I think that Mark Evans presents us with an excellent opportunity. He's coming at us with his evidence, and we're saying, okay, show us more proof than just Clint Patterson's confession and what he said, and with the film. So let's have a discussion. Let's have a scientific discussion and make it valid, and let's come to a conclusion. And I'd like to definitely want to be a part of this. And if Mark, we'll try to get in touch with Mark Evans, and we'll go toe to toe with them, and I'd love to do that.
Yeah, I suspect he will avoid that probably at all cost, because he doesn't want to be put in that position. Another thing I meant to say before, if I can add something, is well, first of all, I put the Wikipedia thing in the chat that says that it was not copyrighted and it's in the public domain, so anybody can use it.
Okay, good. Okay.
That's one thing. And the other is that when you look at that Bob Hieronymus, and supposedly he went back to the original costume maker and had them recreate the costume. And when you look at the costume that they recreated, it looks so absolutely ridiculous that, I mean, it's not even close to looking like the original painting.
Yeah.
So I just thought that's another thing people are probably aware of. And thank you, Mary. I couldn't fit the entire thing. So if people want it, they can go read it all. Because YouTube cut me off on what I could put in there, but that's the gist of it. I mean, I didn't alter that. That's exactly what it said. I just had to cut parts of it off.
Yeah. So did anybody make money from this film or from any of the
Not yet, I don't think. You mean, from which film? The original?
Yeah. Because every time you turn around, you see it on YouTube, on TV, in magazines. I mean, I think in the very beginning that when they were showing it in the movie theaters, like before The Legend of Boggy Creek, they would run it. I think those theaters were probably paying something, but I think that after Roger died and there was no copyright, I think it all fell by the wayside, and I don't think anybody's paid for it in recent history. And if they did, it was only out of the goodness of their heart to Mrs. Patterson to help her out. Because they certainly didn't need to. Yeah. I know one guy that made money off this was Roger Patterson's brother-in-law. He was one of the biggest contractors there in Washington State. He lent them money. And 12 days after the Patterson-Gimlin film was shot, they were in Hollywood. They were signing a contract for Bigfoot Productions, and the brother-in-law gave them money, and he was the one that collected. He made a bunch of money, but as far as I know, he might have been the only one.
Yeah, and he may have been the one that was licensing it out to so in the very early days, I'm sure everybody thought they would copyright it, and why they didn't, I don't know. And so probably in the early days, the theaters and like I said, it was being put out in movie theaters. It was, I think, even on maybe like 60 Minutes or, the evening news or whatever. I think probably all the big name organizations were paying something to air it, probably under the belief that it was going to be copyrighted, and therefore they didn't want to be in trouble. But I think once everybody found out it wasn't copyrighted, I think that all ended. And I think Mrs. Patterson has been pretty much going without any funding for a long time. Now, others like Bob Gimlin, and Bob may be a great guy. I've never met him personally, but I think they were making money off of their public appearances. But Mrs. Gimlin didn't do that. Clint Patterson didn't do that. So they were the ones that were probably the most, the son especially, was the most interested in doing something after all these years to raise some money off of this film.
Right. Yeah.
And what better way to do it? You can't reintroduce it at this point. The window to copyright it has passed. So what better to do than introduce some kind of a film to debunk it? And
Yeah. And that seems to happen every 10 years or whatever. I don't know.
Yeah.
One individual that I think plays a big part in this is my publisher. I've had a number of books published by Hanger One, but Doug Hychek, he's the CEO, and he was good friends with Jeff Meldrum. But Doug reminds me of of like a gonzo journalist, people like Hunter S. Thompson or Jimmy Breslin or Norman Mailer, people that have journalists that sort of embedded themselves into the story. And although Doug's not a journalist per se, he was good friends with Jeff Meldrum, and Doug Hychek offered Bob Gimlin $1 million to confess that the Patterson-Gimlin film was a hoax.
Right.
Gimlin turned that down.
Hychek
Doug paid Bill Munns the Hollywood designer, the special effects designer, paid him to debunk the Patterson-Gimlin film. And mums walked around saying that this is a real animal. So we've had a whole bunch of people there. I mean, characters that are in this wonderful tapestry of Bigfoot. But mums wrote a book called When Patty Met Roger, 1 minute of film, 47 years of controversy. He argued that the technology to create something like that Bigfoot suit was not available in 1967.
Yeah, that's a good point too.
And he, the other thing too, another good point was that Bill Munns made a formal request to Mark Evans to see the entire film and not just the 40-second part. And he was encouraging Evans to release it to the public, and Evans is holding back too much. So there's nothing happening right now. But, I would love to see an organized push by the Bigfoot community, asking for answers. Come on, we've had enough castigation from the public and from the scientific community. Let's go and get, at least get this thing together and, organize it and go after this guy and just, and to communicate. I mean, if you have evidence, show it. Show your cards. So
I will comment. We've had a lot of really positive comments in the chat tonight, and Mary put up your website. People had been asking about your books, and one thing that somewhere along the way, whether it's now or later, you had mentioned to us that you had a new book coming out soon. So we want to make sure everybody's aware of that one as well, as where they can find it and all of that.
Yeah.
So
if I could, I'll do it sooner than later. So it's called The Scream of the Haunted House, and that'll be published by Hanger One. And this will be the official Bible of the ghost hunters. And I have a quote here from Kristen Amanda. She's the host of the Paranormal Girl podcast. And she said, quote, "Every paranormal investigator needs this on their shelf. The Scream of the Haunted House is the ghost hunter's Bible." So this should be coming out by Doug and Alex Hychek, hopefully within the next 2 or 3 months. And I'm excited because I think it's going to be an interesting pathway. Most religions and mythologies believe that there's an afterlife, and most of them believe that we can communicate with spirits and ghosts and demons, and they with us. And so this book looks into that, and looks into the afterlife, and looks into whether or not it's dangerous, as far as attachments, as far as poltergeist and demons and all that. So, I mean, I think it's going to be a well-received book, and Hanger One is certainly excited about it. And, we're looking forward to the launch. So anyway, this will be, if anybody's counting, that'll be book number 10. So I'm just,
and all of these are going to be on your website, or will they look for it on Hanger One or Amazon, or where do they look for it?
Well, look at it, first of all, from www.maximfurek.com.
Okay.
And then on Hanger One. And
okay.
lastly, Jeff Bezos and Amazon. That'll be the last one. So
okay.
what your listeners have to do is support local podcasters, libraries, bookstores, and authors. Support local, or else it's going to go away.
Sure. And the same with Mary's books. I think Mary does better if people buy them direct from her rather than on Amazon. So
yes,
the cut's not as good.
That's right. Yes,
but that's okay.
My book isn't out yet, and it's not going to be about Bigfoot. So, but Mary told me how to get it printed at least. So I've got it with an editor right now, and probably won't see it till around the 1st of August, and then I've got to make all the corrections to it, and so maybe if I'm lucky by the end of the year, I might be looking at having something available. But then I might do a Bigfoot book. I don't know.
Yeah. I have a friend who wants to write a memoir, and she asked me to help her. So we're going through this piecemeal, but I think it should be a fun thing. And one thing of interest is there's numerous literary sites internet luminary sites where you can get your articles published. And it's just a great way to go and see them formatted, with an illustration and everything, and get feedback from fellow literary people. So,
Sure.
so anyway, but that's, it's fun. Have I seen a cryptid? I'd like to tell you about the one that I thought I saw. Yeah, this took place in Pennsylvania, and there's a park called the Riverlands. So my wife and I were walking along the Riverlands, and there's one trail that goes next to the river. Usually that's underwater. Well, this time it was dry, so we decided to go down there and walk there. And I looked down there and I saw this black shape coming towards me. And I'm looking, and it's like 1001, 1002, 1003, might have been 4, but that was the time limit. And I look and I see this big black thing coming towards me. It goes behind a tree, and then it comes out and it gets a little bit closer. And here, after those 4 seconds, it was a woman. And it was cold out. She was wearing like a type of fur coat with those fake shoulder pads. So it looked like that. But until I got her in sight and could see what she was, it looked Bigfoot-like. So it wasn't a Bigfoot, and I'm not saying I saw a Bigfoot, but I'll tell you what, for those 3 or 4 seconds, what I saw was, I believe that I had seen Bigfoot, and my heart was pumping, the adrenaline was rushing. It was just such a wondrous feeling. And I think that might be kind of like what it feels like to see Bigfoot. I didn't see it. It was, some kind of pareidolia, like I wanted to see it, but it wasn't there. I've never seen a Bigfoot. I look, my wife and I are snowbirds. We spend winters in Florida, and I look for the skunk ape down there, and we look for the Bigfoot up here in Pennsylvania, which is, and again, in Luzerne County, my buddy Joe saw those 2 of them. And over there by Catawissa, this was an interesting thing, but Craig Long, who is the district magistrate, Craig told me when he was the sheriff, he got a call from this guy, and an older guy, and he was leaving the dog out, go to the bathroom, 11 o'clock at night. This guy saw this creature, like 11 foot tall creature. And so Craig Long, the sheriff at the time, went over there and interviewed the guy. And the guy said, you know what? He goes, I wasn't afraid. And no, it didn't go well, so I don't tell you. I just talked. Okay, whatever. Said he wasn't afraid. And Craig said, well, why weren't you afraid? And the guy said, because the Bigfoot had kind eyes. It had kind eyes. So so that was that. But you hear all these stories, about people that have seen Sasquatch, and then I know people, especially in Canada and British Columbia and the Pacific Northwest, that talk about Bigfoot being their teachers, and they are the students. They talk about Bigfoot giving them gifts, and Bigfoot being telepathic and having psychic abilities, and all this. So I believe that. I believe that Bigfoot is a maybe part-time flesh and blood, but the rest of the time some sort of an interdimensional something. Something that we really don't know, because we don't have the language, to explain it. But I think it's something. But the scientific community is looking for a carcass. They're looking for follicles and DNA. We haven't been able to come up with that.
Well, actually, we have.
Oh, we have?
Okay. They dismiss it.
Yeah.
And even Jeff Meldrum was involved. There was an early episode of Monster Quest where they were up in Canada. And I won't tell the whole story because I've talked about it before, but Jeff Meldrum was involved. And they got a DNA sample from blood. It was actually blood. And from where a Bigfoot stepped on some nails. And they took the blood and they sent it in, and it came back as half. Anyway, I can't remember the 2 halves, but half of it was human. So they just automatically said, well, it was contaminated. And that's what's always happened. Every time there's been a Bigfoot DNA sample taken, and there's been a lot of them,
Yeah.
and a lot of them are legit. I'm sure of that. Um, but anyway,
Yeah.
they come back as having human DNA. And when they do, the scientific community says, well, it had to be contamination. But that's not legitimate anymore, because nowadays the DNA labs have the ability to separate out contamination. They have to, because they use it in crimes, and they, back 30 years ago, 25 even, when they first started using DNA, 30 now I guess, they did convict people on bad DNA, but they learned from that, and now they make sure they don't do that. And part of what they do is separate out the DNA that might be contamination. And besides that, let's say I collect the DNA sample. Well, when I take that and send it in, if I mishandled that, guess whose DNA is going to be in it?
Right.
Mine.
Yeah.
They can separate my DNA out real easy.
Yeah,
but they don't do it. The scientific community just dismisses it.
Yeah, it's what they did with the World Trade Center, with all the victims, from the World Trade Center.
Mm-hmm.
All the bone and tissue samples that they had to one by one painstakingly identify.
Yep.
And get them to their family members.
Mm-hmm.
And that was part of it, with all the chemicals and everything that those samples were subjected to, from the building itself. They are absolutely able to, strip away and clean any type of contamination away from the DNA samples.
Where was the legitimate sample taken? What was that you were just talking about?
I was sitting here and I blanked out on her name, even though I've invited her to be on our show.
I've sent in 2 genuine samples myself.
Oh, well, okay. Yeah, your samples. But who was the lady that did the big DNA study? She's out of Oklahoma too, I think.
Dr. Ketchum?
Yeah, Melba Ketchum.
Oh, yeah.
And I've invited Melba to be on our show, but she said she's just too busy right now. But she had over 100 that were collected. Actually, you mentioned David Politis earlier.
Yeah.
He funded that to the tune of somewhere in excess of $500,000. Well, he didn't fund it. The guy that funded it is the same guy that bankrolls the Olympic project, and he also, back years ago, he gave a lot of money to Finding Bigfoot, to BFRO, but they were never able to come up with good DNA samples. Well, when David Politis found out about this, he was actually talking to Scott Carpenter, who lived just not far from me here, and Scott goes, well, I can get DNA. And so Scott and David came up with this idea, or Scott mainly did, about they took plastic packing tape and they wrapped it around trees backwards. And then they put bait up in the trees about 10 or 12 feet tall in a crotch of a tree. And they found out, they said Bigfoot liked McDonald's pancakes the best. Okay. But they would put them up there, and then the Bigfoot would come and it would belly up to the tree and reach up there to get to the pancakes. And when it backed away, it left hair on the tape. That was one way. Then I'm so bad with names. The lady that does the drawing, Sibylla Irwin, was working in Kentucky with the, I want to say it was Irwin, but that's not right. The something project. It was like the something project, but they collected blood and saliva samples there. And anyway, by the time it was all said and done, there were some samples come in from all over the United States. There were 110, I think. You'd have to go back and read the study, but I think there were 110 samples that were sent to 10 or 11 different DNA labs in the U.S. and Europe. I think Oxford might have been one, but several were crime labs, and they were sent as blind samples, and these labs, I guess, charge a premium to do a blind sample because they don't know what it is. And of course, they wouldn't have done it if they'd have told them it was Bigfoot. But in every single case, every one of them, over 100 samples in 10 or 11 different labs, every one of them came back as half human and half unknown.
Okay.
The other half was not in what's called Gen Bank, and it just wasn't there. So they don't know what it was.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, Scott Carpenter was a big believer of Nephilim influence in Bigfoot.
Yeah,
so he immediately said, well, you know, the half that they couldn't identify was the angel half. And of course, so that especially set the scientific community on edge, because they don't want to hear anything about, you know, about God being involved in any of this. And so, but I will say, I guess I can say this. Well, maybe I better not. I might want to save it and ask Mary if I should say it first. I know some inside information that I got from talking to Melba, and I probably shouldn't say it on out in the open until I know if it's okay. But there was a lot of, I'll just say this. I know this because I think even Scott Carpenter talked publicly about this, that there was a lot of intimidation involved in that DNA report, that there were certainly entities within our government that did not want that report published. We'll say it that way.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Yeah, because why? It's the same resistance or even more with the UAP, with the UFO disclosures. They do not want this information out as to their DNA, what their origins are. They don't. That's the primary reason.
Yeah. Yeah. So
what is the concern with the government? What's are we going? Do they think we're going to panic if we find out there's?
I think so. Because the government is afraid that the public will panic from the UFO disclosure. There's a heck of a lot more going on there than just little green men and grays and whatever.
Yeah.
But it's the same with Bigfoot. It's in the DNA. It's not just the forestry industry. It's not just whatever else. It's the DNA. It comes down to who and what their origins are.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the best sources, and there's a lot, I'll say there's a lot of people out there, and maybe this is just because I've been watching him a lot here of late, but L.A. Marzulli really goes, he does a deep dive on all this that we're talking about as far as the DNA, the UFOs, what they are, where they come from. And I got interested in him because he and I both believe that, and this isn't the show tonight, so I'll shut up here in a minute, let you talk, but we believe that UFOs are actually probably, I don't want to make it sound wrong, but sort of demonic in nature. And it's funny, one of the Catholic, some big Catholic cardinal or something said recently here, just within the last week or 10 days, that he thought that UAPs or UFOs were demonic in nature, and the Catholic Church almost excommunicated him over it, which I didn't understand, but he had to make a public apology about that he was sorry he had crossed the line with the Catholic Church and whatever. And somebody said, well, why would the Catholic Church care? And somebody made the comment, they said, because they're getting ready to make this big announcement publicly. And that movie, what was it? Something Disclosure movie is trying to make these out to be good entities. Yeah. And this Catholic is trying to say, no, they're not good. They're demonic. And so that is not in line with what the Pope wants to hear. Anyway, that's what the article I read said. So
yeah, okay, I got to check that out. I have a real fascination with Catholic mysticism.
Yeah, well, I do too,
especially with demonology and So I did want to say one thing about the Patterson Gimlin film. Early on, there was a lot of controversy. So John Napier, who was the British paleontologist, he was in charge of the Smithsonian Institute, and he was lent a copy of this 59 second black and white video. So he was there with a number of his fellow professionals, including a bunch of Soviet scientists. And they looked at it. Napier concluded that it was a hoax. This was back in 1972. And he said the reason it was a hoax was because he thought that Patterson and Gimlin cobbled together some common attributes for Patty. Long arms like an ape, and legs like a hominid, like a bipedal hominid. And so that was Napier's conclusion. And then that was 1972. In 1974, over in Ethiopia, they discovered Lucy, that was Australopithecus. And she was named after the Beatles, Lucy in the Sky with Diamonds. But Lucy was this diminutive, one of our earliest ancestors, was maybe 3.5 foot, 4.5 foot tall. And Lucy had long arms to climb the trees, and she had the legs to walk like a human. And that was in 1974. And when John Napier heard about this, he said, wait a second, I've been wrong. He goes, it was almost like science came around full circle and validated, this Patterson Gimlin film, with more evidence. So that's what Napier said. But Napier was part of this, since day one. He was pretty much involved in, looking at that film and scrutinizing it. So anyway, I thought that when that happened, I thought that was a pretty exciting moment, because typically in the world of cryptozoology or the paranormal, we don't have involvement with the scientific community. All we get is criticism and castigation.
Yeah.
So
I put that thing up there too, Mary. I don't know if you saw it. It's kind of long, but the guy that did that, so Monsignor Stephen Rossetti, and interestingly, he is a longstanding exorcist.
Oh yeah,
the Archdiocese of Washington D.C. So you would think that if anybody would know about demons, it would be him.
Yeah, don't take that down. I want to just write that down. That's I need a pen that works, right? Okay, so this is it's not funny, it's sad.
I could always send it to you too in your email or something.
Yeah. Okay. ROSSETTI. Huh. I knew a guy named Father Rossetti, but that's okay. Very good. Okay, so UFOs are demonic. Yeah. Well.
Yeah, and then I didn't get it all on there, but he had to actually make they were gonna, I don't remember if it was excommunicate him or what, but he was gonna get in big time trouble, big Catholic trouble, and he was gonna get sent to the bottomless pit or something. Man. And he so he had to make a public apology and say that he was sorry that he had offended the Pope, basically. Oh, there it says he was removed as a priest for saying that, somebody said. So yeah, okay, I thought he got it back, but maybe they demoted him or something. But yeah, it was like big trouble.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna check that out. Yeah, okay.
So yeah, I
okay.
I don't usually bring this up, although I think I have a time or two, but I'm a ordained pastor, and I haven't pastored in a number of years, but I used to study up on Catholic ideologies quite a bit, and how so many of the things that we practice as everyday stuff anymore was actually pretty much invented by the Catholic Church. It's not in line with what the Bible actually says, but again, that's not our show tonight, other than you have a book on kind of stuff like that, I guess. But so anyway, I wanted to ask a couple of things. One is we ask about if you'd ever seen cryptids. So let me ask two things at once here, and you can handle that, I'm sure. One I want to know is, have you had personal interactions with what you would call something from the spirit realm, or or a demon or anything spiritual in nature? And then secondly, what got you interested in all of this to begin with? When you were a child or a young man or whenever it happened, how did you get started in all this?
Yeah. Well, I'm a baby boomer. We were born between 64 to 46 to 64. And we were filled with things like Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, One Step Beyond. I mean, all that stuff. I mean, God, we just our heads were filled with the supernatural, with vampires and Dracula.
Don't forget Star Trek. I used to watch all the original Star Trek every week. And,
all of that. So like we had a pretty healthy,
and what was the show with the hand that crawled? It was on during the day. Anyway, I'll think of it here pretty soon.
You mean with Soupy Sales?
No, I don't think so. This was the show that there was a vampire on it, and
Barnabas Collins.
Yeah, that was his name. What was
Deep
the show?
Shadows.
Yeah,
Dark Shadows. Yeah.
Dark
That's
Shadows,
what I was
yes.
thinking of.
Yeah, all that stuff. But we've always loved that, and back in the '60s, when I was a kid, the Fall of the House of Usher was one of the top movies of the year.
Oh, wow.
Now before that, horror movies were things that just us teenagers went to see. But here was the one that adults went to see. And there was something about, before Beatlemania, we had Poe-mania. I mean, American International and Vincent Price were just churning out all these Edgar Allan Poe, wonderful gothic stuff, just very suspenseful. But
Yes.
Follow the House of Usher was one of them, and it showed that there's money there, and there was a hunger from the people for things like this. So, we had in the '60s we had the Edgar Allan Poe trilogies and all that with Vincent Price, and then late '60s it was Rosemary's Baby, and then we had the Exorcist, and then we had the Omen, and again that showed us that America had a huge hunger for the demonic. We wanted to know about that. I mean, it just came, like boom, 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 and that was when Ed and Lorraine Warren made their appearance, and they became the ambassadors. The Addams Family, they became the ambassadors of demonology, and actually Ed and Lorraine Warren were friends of mine. I met them in 1988. And we stayed friends for until their death. So they were very nice people. They treated me well. So Ed and Lorraine. Lorraine had a pet rooster named Einstein. I called up Ed, and you'd hear the rooster in the background. So
that kind of that's how you just kind of moved into it because you grew up with it. Did you have an experience at some point in time?
Yeah. When I was a kid, I thought I could levitate. I thought I could go down in the basement and fly. And to this day, I don't know.
Trying to fly off the roof. I knew a couple kids that did that.
So I don't know. I mean, I don't know what the story was there. It felt pretty real to me. So I don't know. That was one thing. When I was in the Navy, I'm a Vietnam vet, but we used to see UFOs, unidentified flying saucers, faster and more maneuverable than anything we had or anybody else had. And they were UFOs, and we would put their range and bearing in the logbooks. They would tell us, and most of us guys were like under the age of 20, we were just like little babies, and they would tell us to keep our mouth shut. Don't tell anybody what you saw. And they would get rid of those UFO books, but they were commonplace. And I would say
talk about that.
Maybe 3% of what we see are anomalous. We can't explain what they are. Same thing with the 2004 Nimitz UAP. We don't know what it is. It hovered, zigzag, then it went underwater, and then they changed it from unidentified aerial phenomenon to unidentified anomalous phenomenon. So, the Pentagon boys are having a whole lot of fun with this, but there's things out there. We don't know what they are. And when we talk about transparency, disclosure, and all that, that's a bunch of malarkey. And I'm going to tell you why, because July of 2023, September of 2024, November of 2025, they had congressional UFO hearings that have taught us nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. David Grush from Western Pennsylvania told us nothing. Luis Elizondo told us nothing. All these people that were saying that the government was going to tell us what they know, what they have. We do not have the right to know, and they're not going to tell us. So again, all those things are just song and dance. It's just smoke and mirrors. Remember, Grush told us in July of 2023 that he would reveal where the bodies are and where the alien crafts are to the right people. He would disclose this classified information. So that was in July of 2023. Nothing's happened yet.
Right.
Excuse me.
I don't know. It could be that, again, that the government has such control that they think that the people aren't ready for that knowledge. And who knows if we are? Who knows if we're not? But it's not up to them to decide for us.
It's not up to them to decide. But again,
but I was going to say it is, unfortunately.
Yeah.
My career, aside from many other things I've done, was in government administration. I was an executive level. I have a PhD in organizational management, among other things. Okay. And one of the things that we were taught early on was you never, ever tell the public anything that you don't have to tell them. Mm-hmm. And so even we would have public information officers that would handle things during emergencies, during crises, and they were trained very specifically in how to talk so that they never released any information that, I don't know how to say it, but that they didn't want the public to have. Right. And they made the decision of what they thought the public could or could not handle. And they made the decision of what they thought the public should or should not know. Mm-hmm. And that may not be right, but they really are doing that. And we say they don't have the right to do it, but unfortunately they have the right because they're appointed by our elected officials, and we put the elected officials in office. And so in that sense, the elected official that we elect gets to appoint the person who gets to make the decision about what we do and do not get to know. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying that's how it works.
Right. You're right. That's how it works. It's everything is on a need to know basis.
Absolutely.
And I don't think individuals like us, the 3 M's, have the need to know.
And you talked about the Navy. So one of my brothers went in the Navy. It was funny. He went in the Navy, I think, in 1957. And one of the first letters he wrote home to my mother was that they were going to send him to an assignment overseas after he got out of training. And he said it was in a place called Vietnam. And this was, before we were officially in Vietnam. Because he went over there, I think, in 58. He went as an advisor. They always send these advisors, ahead. And I asked him once, I said, well, what exactly in 1958, what did an advisor in Vietnam do? He says, well, on one side of the helicopter, there was a guy called a door gunner. And he said on the other side of the helicopter, there was a guy called an advisor, and he was on the other machine gun. And he said, that's how we did it. We flew over and we had a machine gun on both sides of the helicopter. But I asked him once about some of the, weird things they saw, not only things like UFOs, but even the rock apes. I don't know if you're
the rock apes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Because he was mostly on helicopters, but he was on a little bit of ground combat. He did like 4 or 5 tours over there. He was a glutton for punishment. But anyway, he told me, he said, he talked about the rock apes a little bit, but he said, as far as the other stuff, he really couldn't tell me because it was still classified. And if he told me, they could take his pension away from him because he was retired at that time.
Right. Yeah.
And so he was afraid to talk about a lot of that stuff.
It's amazing. Even though they have a whistleblower act, so many government people are afraid to go and say anything because of that wonderful pension with benefits they're going to get. when they get out of there. So I think that's that's something that people need to consider.
Right.
When I was down in Florida in 2023, I wrote letters to all these congressmen, these politicians who were involved in the congressional UFO hearings. Chuck Schumer, Anna Paulina Luna, Marco Rubio. Out of 6 people that I sent letters to, Marco was the only one that responded. Wow. And at that time, he was a senator, I believe. And then he sent me a letter, and what I wanted to do was David Grush to just go and show his cards, reveal what he knew. And Marco Rubio sent me a letter, and then I was getting ready to send another letter to him, and Marco got bumped up to Secretary of State. Mm-hmm. So I lost my government contact. So Mark, if you could help me with there, I need somebody else. It's not Marco.
Yeah, so. I have a few governors that I'm friends with, but I don't get up to the senator and that level. So
yeah. Well, it's we're all in the same boat.
They call the senators the millionaire club.
Yeah, I can believe that. I think back in the 50s, I think they had a thing called the Robertson Commission, that they believed that the American public could not handle the truth, i.e., that there were other life forms in existence. Right. They thought we would go mad, that it would turn our whole social structure upside down. Our whole belief in God and religion, would go out the door. So that was the, they do these studies. I mean, they must think that humans are, I don't know, just like,
stupid.
Stupid, naive, like little children. So,
yeah.
There
was a lot of discussion, and this is something, of course, I studied during my college years, but when they were writing the Constitution, there was a lot of discussion even then that wasn't really made public, but it made it out in some of the diaries, and a little bit was written about in the Federalist and Anti-Federalist papers. But they talked about whether or not the public was even smart enough to be able to elect the right people. They were trying to come up with how people should be elected, because they said, and there may be some truth to this, they said the average person is going to elect a bunch of idiots that are going to mess everything up.
Yeah.
And but they went ahead and did it that way, and look where we're at.
Yeah, look where we're at. Yeah. We're in a bit of a mess. Yeah. So,
but it's better, I guess, than the mess that they have in a lot of other countries.
Yeah.
I don't think there's any I'd want to trade it for.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I agree with that. So, well, anyway, the book that we were talking about is The Lost Tribes of Bigfoot, and it has. Let me see if I could show you this. Let me see here.
Yeah, I'd be interested to hear what some of your chapter titles or something are. Give us a little bit of a tease of what we might learn in there.
Well, what I wanted to do is show you this. So this is, there it is. Okay. So inside the book, they have these QR codes.
Oh, yeah.
And if you take it's IBT, Immersive Book Technology. If you take your camera, that'll open up these barcodes, and they'll be, they're throughout the book, but I'll do a synopsis of the chapter. So it's sort of a unique technology from Hangar One. Mm-hmm. There's me as a rock journalist. That's in Club Wa in Greenwich Village. That's with Hendrick. Wow. And that's where Dylan used to hang out. But as far as the chapters, and I dedicate my book to Peter Byrne, John Green, Grover Krantz, and Renee DeHinden, the pioneers to be forever honored as the Four Horsemen of Sasquatchery. They did it back in the day. But I talk about the Bigfoot mythology, the historical record, the fossil record, the Osman abduction, the hoaxes, Patterson-Gimlin film, the 2023 Colorado train video that was a hoax. I mean, it shows this was during elk season in
Yeah.
Colorado. I mean, man, that's kind of stupid to go out there, when they had the hunters there, but that was that. I talk about the Chestnut Ridge. I talk about the Bigfoot UFO connection, Gigantopithecus, the Jungian collective unconscious. Is Bigfoot our new religion? And so anyway, a whole bunch of stuff. But it's a great book.
So you talked about the fossil record. Do you talk about the giant bones that have been discovered and then covered up by the Smithsonian Institute?
Didn't talk about that, but I talk about all the usual suspects that, including Neanderthal.
Oh, Neanderthal, yeah.
Australopithecus,
Right.
Gigantopithecus, that was the largest ape ever and looked like an orangutan. And it was so big that it died off because during global warming, all of the fruits were up in the trees and the Giganta was too big to get up there. So, it eventually died off. But, a lot of people believe that, a lot of researchers believe, I think Jeff Meldrum believed that Neanderthal could have been the link to Bigfoot, but again, we don't know. We just have a whole lot of theories.
Right.
My theory is, I'm been called Dr. Wu, but I believe that Bigfoot is interdimensional. And I also believe that flying saucers or UFOs or UAPs do the same thing. I think that there's ways to travel through different dimensions, through portals, through Einstein and Rosen's wormhole theory and bridge theory and all that. So I believe that that's what's happening. And I think that the Bigfoot community, certainly the people that I know in Pennsylvania, are a little bit more accepting of Wu than they were, say just a couple of years ago, when everybody was out, looking for flesh and blood, and and demanded that. So I think that things are evolving or changing. I mean, do you agree with that? That we're all getting a little bit more open-minded?
Yeah, at least personally with myself, whenever I first started in this, I was flesh and blood, and that's it.
Same here.
But as time goes by and the more you experience, your eyes are open and you have to be open to everything else.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can't, in my opinion, you can't spend the amount of time, and I've gotten old and I can't do it as much, but you can't spend the amount of time out in the woods in the middle of the night that Mary and I have and see the things that we've, not together, but see the things we've seen and not begin to think there's something else going on. I mean, there's more to it than just flesh and blood. Now,
Definitely.
whether they're flesh and blood and they just have some amazing abilities that we don't understand, or whether they're using dimensions or portals or any of that, I don't know. But there's something more to them than we currently understand. And that's one of my problems with galactic travel is either all of our theories that were mostly developed by Einstein and then later on by like Stephen Hawking, either they're all wrong or it can't happen because our theory, like, E equals MC squared, that says that it would require all of the energy in the entire universe to travel at the speed of light. And even at the speed of light, it takes years to get to the nearest other star. So I don't believe that there is such a thing as intergalactic travel unless, as you said, they're using wormholes or dimensions or something we don't understand. But I also don't really believe there's life out in the universe, even though everybody says, well, it's so big, there's got to be.
I know, if we had a quarter for every time we heard that.
Oh, yeah. So anyway, again, I don't want to get into all my stuff, but that was the thing I was trying to say is just that, just based on the scientific principles that we understand, intergalactic space travel is not possible in a space like in Star Trek. Star Trek version is not possible.
Yeah. Well, Jacques Vallée, Jacques Vallée said that. He said that that extraterrestrial hypothesis doesn't work anymore. It's archaic. Right. It's old-fashioned. It's foolish to think that the Space Brothers could go trillions of light years from there to here. Right. Nobody can do that. We don't have the time, energy, any of that. Right. So the wormhole theory, where you just go and you fold that time-space continuum in half and punch a hole through it, that's just a theory, but it makes more sense than traveling from, wherever.
Well, and I think that was Einstein too, that had that folding of time and space. So a lot of the stuff that he came up with turned out to be correct. So, that is, I guess, a possibility. But
Einstein and Rosen came up with that bridge theory and then the wormhole theory. Yeah, so. Interesting.
Well, again, we've had a lot of really positive stuff in the comments. I don't know if Mary's been watching it all, but we're almost an hour and 40 minutes. So I don't know if Mary wants to roll a little more or if she wants to wrap this up. And I know at some point I want to talk about the shows we've got coming up.
Yeah. I think Mary wants to wrap it up. I meant my. But
we start to lose people if we go too long. And
did you have plenty of comments?
Oh yes.
Yeah, there's a ton of stuff. Not a lot of questions, but a ton of positive comments.
Oh, very good.
They really enjoyed the conversation, and they think we're smart. I think. I don't know where they got that idea.
I don't know where they get that from, but
3 M's. I like this. This is good. Come on, we got something here. Yeah. So. Okay.
So what do you want to do, Mary?
I think we can, you and I have a couple other little things to go over for our few remaining audience members here, some sighting reports. But Max, whenever your next book comes out, I'd like to get you back on.
Yeah.
And, or even just continue this conversation.
No, I think it'd be best. It'd be more dramatic if you just kick me off the show like right now. That would be good. But it's the Scream of the Haunted House, and and definitely we'll get together. And I'd love to go and do this again. So
yes, absolutely.
We got one last question, Maxim. What do you think cryptids are?
Yeah,
you said no hard questions, so.
Well, it's. The Soviets talked about hominology, a group of entities that haven't been identified. They're humanoids or human-like, but we don't know exactly what they are. So they're cryptids, and it's part of cryptozoology. It's a pseudoscience. It's a branch of zoology, but it's about creatures that we believe exist, but scientists don't because they haven't been able to capture them or whatever. And Dogmen, Bigfoot, Loch Ness Monster, Chupacabra, Champ, on and on and on and on. I mean, every single state, every country has some type of cryptid, but we're the searchers. We're looking for that. We're trying to make sense of that. And this is what, Patterson and Gimlin were doing. And that's what the Four Horsemen of Sasquatchery were doing. And, so there's been a whole lot of, science, people like Jeff Meldrum that believes that cryptids exist. And, and Jeff had such a wide assortment of footprints that, as proof. So, what do I think they are? Why, I don't know. But they're out there. They're unknown. They're they're cryptids. They're creatures. They're not humans. And but that was a solved question. So thanks.
Sure. Well, I threw up the Wikipedia definition there.
Yeah. Okay.
They're interested.
I agree. Existence is rumored, but has never been proven by mainstream science. Exactly.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. I couldn't have said it better.
Yeah. And rumored depends on whether you've seen one face to face or not. Then it isn't rumored anymore.
At
least the person that saw him, it might be to everybody else. But
yeah, I'm going to keep on looking. Boy, I don't know.
You got to go to Mary's. Mary chases them around with golf clubs.
Okay. Well, give me an invite. I'll come out to Western PA. So,
All right.
yeah. By the way, we're going to be out in Connellsville in August. It's going to be at the Interdimensional Paranormal Conference, and that's going to be in August. Yeah, in August.
Okay.
And Glenda, Lady G, is putting that together. But I'll be there with Stan Gordon. We'll be there with our friend Eric Altman. Trying to think of some of the other luminaries that are there, and also some friends of mine from Oculus Alchemy are going to come there. It's a program from New York City, and they're going to be filming me talking about the paranormal apocalypse. And so that's one of my recent books, but that should be an exciting thing. And I think there's going to be a lot of people there, so I'm looking forward to that.
Do you know what date in August? Or?
Yeah, I do. Yeah, it's hang on, let me.
While he's looking that up, Mary, you should plug your upcoming.
Yes,
coming up too, right?
Well, yeah, Saturday, I will be speaking at the Mars Area Public Library in Mars, Pennsylvania, at 1 p.m. And you will need to contact the library and RSVP for that because they have limited space. And last I heard, they've got a pretty good crowd coming in, which I'm pretty happy about.
Mars, that's a great place to hold it. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one I'm going to be at is going to be August 29th. It's in Connellsville, Pennsylvania. That's in Fayette County.
Yep. I was born and raised. Well, I was born in Connellsville Hospital.
Oh, really? Okay.
And originally from Vanderbilt, which is just outside of Connellsville.
Yeah. Okay. Wonderful. Well, maybe you could make this. So it's going to be August the 29th, but I'm looking forward to it. And I'll tell you what happened was on February the 8th of this year, there was a nice 2-page article about me in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And because of that, I got all these invites to Forest County and now Fayette County and also Gettysburg on Labor Day and just a whole bunch of things. So that, life is good. So I love the paranormal community. I consider myself a skeptic and I view all this as an academic. I'm just trying to find answers. And that's, who I am. I mean, I wish I could see things. I'm waiting for the day. Maybe someday I will, but I haven't yet. So
one of these days, you never know.
I know, yeah.
It happens whenever you're not looking.
It's like love. I know.
Yes, exactly.
When you look for it, you never find it. But then when you're not looking for it hits you on the head. So.
That's right.
Anyway.
All
well,
right.
I want to take all your hair.
Yeah. I want to thank everybody for the invite, and this was very pleasurable. I want to thank you, and I apologize for cutting out. I'm only good for a certain amount of time, and then I'm, not.
Believe me.
Well, we're about at the end of our time too, and it's been great talking to you.
Yes.
And I enjoyed it, and I actually put more of me in this than I usually do. But anyway. It's been enjoyable, and we had some good conversation back and forth. And
yeah, I appreciate this. Yeah, very good. Okay,
I'll keep you in mind. I might have an idea of how you can get to see a Bigfoot, or at least interact with one.
Okay,
but
absolutely.
I'll
sign me up
later, and maybe we can interact somehow in the future.
Okay, for sure. Yeah. Okay. Mark, thank you so much. Mary, thank you so much. This is great. Continued success with your program, and let's keep in touch. Okay.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night, Max. I thought that went really well.
Yes, I agree. It was a great program, and we had a great conversation, and I think the audience enjoyed it also. And
hey, don't run off, everybody. We've got some announcements here we're going to make too before you leave.
Yeah, there's a couple things going on. I received a Bigfoot sighting report on Sunday up here in Lawrence County, Pennsylvania. at, what was it, 11:55 a.m., a gentleman was walking through his property. There's a creek, and across the creek is a swampy area. And he said he was walking and tossing the ball to his dog. And he said the dog stopped and was just looking. And so he turned and looked over in that direction. And here, let me get to the report here so I can get the details here. Okay, it was a 7-foot tall black Bigfoot standing, just watching them playing ball. And noticed Jeff, the gentleman, saw it. It took a step to the left and went behind a tree. And that was the last he saw of it. He's not able to get over to that side. He said it's a very swampy area, and he's not about to go tromping through the swamp. But he estimated it about 7 foot tall.
That's good. Good size
Yeah.
for Pennsylvania.
Yeah, he's got a lot of activity. You're right around that area. In fact, I think it was maybe 5 years ago, I had taken a report from him, the same person. He had heard a vocal in the area, so it's and plus his neighbors have reported vocals, hearing vocals also, and seeing things up in the fields. So it's a very active area.
Okay. Was it just that one? I thought you said you had a couple.
Yeah, there was a second one. I just received it right before the show came on. I mean, really just before the show came on. I have he gave me no information, really. He sent me 2 photos.
But he said he saw one somewhere in your area there.
Yes, just outside of Newcastle, Pennsylvania, which is also in Lawrence County. He sent me 2 photos, so I will have to get a little bit more background on this story. I'll call him tomorrow. And
well, I haven't had any direct reports to me, but I have heard through the grapevine that there's been quite a bit of activity right in this area near me. And so one guy told him, I have my cards out, and one guy that was talking to me today said he gave my card to a guy that was telling him that he saw one. And the guy, it was like they were talking about on here though tonight. He said, well, I hate to tell anybody because they'll think I'm crazy. But that's why so few of these get reported.
yeah.
But anyway, I may get a call on that. I may not, but I've just been hearing reports that for some reason, there's a lot of activity here just within the last week or so. It's kind of like a little burst, all at once.
Yeah.
So
I know in our research area up in the Allegheny National Forest, there's recorders up there. In fact, I've talked about them before. It's the Bigfoot live stream, and that's an app through the Apple iPhone and also Android also. It's a live stream that everyone could get on there and watch and contribute to, if you see something, there's a button there to report. There have been so many vocals, a lot of whistles, some whoops, a lot of banging on the house, and there's areas on the live stream. Let's see, there's a research area up in British Columbia. There's one in Ontario that belongs, a piece of property that belongs to Survivor Man, Les Stroud, and our area in the Allegheny National Forest, and another area in Texas. And there's just been so many yeah, everyone has been reporting, like I said, there's vocals. In fact, hold on a second. Let me see if I can play. I might be able to play one of the vocals here. Oh, let's see here.
Nobody commented on my new background tonight. Oh, yeah. That's that metallic sound like you guys heard up in Allegheny. Yeah. Kind of a metallic clanking sound.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot more. I have to wait for, I think the guy that runs the Bigfoot live stream, he'll put that up on the YouTube channel also so everyone can hear it. But that's a little sneak peek as to all the different things. Oh, okay, here we go. Dan comments to you. He likes your forced background.
I had to drag him out of him. Thank you.
Verex says she loves a new background. I agree. I like that.
Yeah, cool. Thank you. Okay, so you want me to talk about upcoming shows, or did you have some more?
Yeah. No. Go ahead and talk about the upcoming. Who we have coming up on here.
So we have. I'm trying to get this where I can. Okay, July 1st is next week. We'll be in July. Scott and Sheila Granger. Some well-known Bigfoot researchers out of, I believe, Georgia. Is that where they're from?
I think so, yeah.
Down there. And then I'm still working on the 8th. We'll get somebody for that. And then on the 15th, we have, wait a minute. Is the 8th? When is Dan? When is
Nadrello. Dan? Yeah, Dan Nadrello. Hold on.
Wait a minute. Oh, come on. I'm having trouble with my computer.
He's July 8th.
Oh, okay. I couldn't get that one to open, and I thought it meant there wasn't anything there. But yeah, there he is. Okay.
Yep.
So he's the 8th. We do have somebody. And then the 15th is Jen Cruz, who is going to focus on her Bigfoot work, but she'll probably talk about other things. But this lady does everything. She's a Ojibwe native, and she does a lot of things concerning her Native American roots and native. She calls it the something star. But anyway, I got into it not like got into it as in arguing, but I got into it talking to her, and she does so much stuff. I said, well, at least for this show, let's just stick with your Bigfoot stuff. So that's what she'll be doing.
Yeah, we can get her on again for other things.
Yeah. And then the 22nd is the one I don't have anybody yet, but I'm working on it. I've got a lot of invites out. But on the 29th is Greg Ogles, who runs, I told you earlier, Relic Films. And he has made several movies, independent films about Bigfoot. And he does a lot of research as well, and he works with a lot of other researchers. So, yes, Diane, I know that's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to look like, I think this is only from last October. Okay, so 8 months or something. So I figure, by the time, if I can keep it for a year, maybe I'll have it taken off and moved up here, and then I'll have like an afro on top instead of down here.
Gravity works. It goes from up here to down below.
That's what it was. And if you could see the rest of me, you could tell that it works that way too. But anyway, so we have some really good guests coming up. I was kind of surprised at some of the people that I sent it out to that said yes. And I have some other pretty big names invited as well, at least within the Bigfoot world. I've got an invite out. I shouldn't name who I've got invites out. Then if they don't come, people will be disappointed. But
you never know. Yeah, August looks like we don't have anyone, but September September 9, we have Stan Gordon.
Oh yeah, that'll be really good.
Yeah. And so far, that's it.
All these ladies talking about my beard. Maybe the next time I come up that way, I'll have to. What do they have? They have a. They have the booth where you throw a ball and you knock somebody in the water. Maybe I'll do one where I just sit there and let them feel my beard and charge a quarter, for stroke. It is very soft. I don't have one of them wiry, bristly ones. Mine's real soft. It's like hair on your head almost.
Do you use some of that beard balm stuff that?
I don't. All I do is shampoo it and put conditioner on it. That's it.
Oh, okay. I know I see commercials.
My beard is a woman's head. I shampoo it real good and then I put conditioner on it, and that's all I do.
Yeah, they one of the Sasquatch companies, they advertise like a Sasquatch beard balm or something, and
it makes them oily. I don't like it oily like that.
Nope.
Yeah, so mine's nice and fluffy.
There you go. Now you hear that, ladies? Nice and fluffy, nice and fluffy beard. There we go. Call you
beard of knowledge. Wow. Wow. You'll make my head swell up and then it won't fit in the screen anymore. Here. Oh, wait. Look what happened. Where'd it go? Well, there it is.
There we go.
My head swell up. All right. Well, I don't have anything else.
Yep, that's it for me. Yeah, next time. Can't remember, short-term memory. I'm tired and I can't even remember who's coming on next week. But
we just said it. Let's see. Let me go back and look again. Next week is. Come on, computer.
Oh, Scott and Sheila. Yeah.
Yeah. Don't forget, you've got to send them the link to the show and get them set up. I don't know how to do that yet.
Yep. Like I'll need their email address.
Okay, I don't have it, but I'll get it for you.
Yeah, and
I just messaged them in Messenger, so that's all.
Yeah, a lot of people prefer me to send it through email. You can ask them, but
I guess I ought to. I don't know if I asked them for a bio, but I'll work on that. I'll ask them for that. Tell them I need their email.
Yes.
So.
Yes, we'll need both.
Yeah.
But should be fun. They're an interesting couple. I know that I don't know if I really spoke with them directly before or not, but yeah.
You're part of Woodwalkers, and
yes, yeah,
they're down in OBO when I was there.
Yep.
And I got a chance to talk with them there a while. So yeah, they'll be good.
All right, but yeah, tonight we had Maxim Furek on, and that was really a fascinating conversation.
Yeah.
Fascinating. And
really good.
I hope that everyone enjoyed it. But I think that it's time to shut this down. It's almost 9:30, and I'm tired.
Yep, me too. My bedtime. I go to bed about now.
Yeah. Yep. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming on, for joining us, and praying with us also. And again, if anyone has any prayer requests, message me or Mark. And we have a lot of prayer warriors here, in the comments section also. So don't worry. God's in control.
Yeah, that's right.
All right.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, everyone. God bless.
Oh, wait, that hand don't want to show up. This hand shows up. Good night. Bye.
Good
See
night.
you next week.
Monkey Wench out.